Big possibilities this week and in the coming month or so for movement on President Trump's promise to get tough on immigration. Bids are due this week from firms looking to build President Trump's southern border wall. Meanwhile, sanctuary cities are drawing new legal challenges as the calls to withhold funds from them grows louder.
DUIs, assaults, burglaries, drug crimes, gang rapes, crimes against children, and murderers. Countless Americans would be alive today, and countless loved ones would not be grieving today if these policies of sanctuary cities were ended.
The Attorney General earlier this week from the White House podium. The legal part of these issues to make them the law of the land will come before the House Judiciary Committee. Chairman Bob Goodlatte joins us from his home district in Roanoke, Virginia. Mr. Chairman, always good to see you, sir. What I'm most interested in, and I know this is an issue that is near and dear to your heart, and you are passionate about it. How much is required of the House Judiciary Committee to change the law? And for that matter, how much is up to Attorney General Sessions to enforce the laws we already have on the books?
Well, there are a great many laws on the books that weren't enforced for the last 8 years, and therefore there's lots that Secretary Kelly, the new head of Homeland Security, Attorney General Sessions are about enforcing right now. But there are additional problems that need to be addressed with legislation, including making it absolutely clear what the law is with regard to sanctuary cities, also making sure that people who are caught and then released into the interior of our country are instead held and then returned safely home to their home country. You know, over the last 5 years, 230,000 unaccompanied minors, mostly teenage boys, many involved with gangs, have gotten into the interior of the country and committed crimes like the one that occurred in Rockville, Maryland just last week, a murder in my neighboring county of Bedford County, Virginia, just this week. It is a very, very serious problem, and the House is, and I believe the whole Congress is prepared to give the administration what they need.
What do they need? You're prepared to give it, but specifically, how do the laws have to change to keep from happening what you're describing, especially the catch and release? Is that policy, or does that require a change in law?
It does. For other than Mexico. Right now, people apprehended coming into the country from Mexico can be returned directly across the border. But if you come from Central America, and most of the people who've been coming up through Mexico, hundreds of thousands of them have come up from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, we need to be able to change the law so that they can be returned promptly, safely to their home country without having to go through a lengthy process, and certainly without having to release them into the interior of the country. They also engage in asylum fraud in many instances, where they're also released into the interior of the country. We need to reform our asylum laws and make sure that the administration has the resources to hold people until they are properly processed under the law, and then they can be returned home.
You know, the president has a lot on his legislative agenda that he wants to get done. Some of it has bipartisan support. A lot of it has some real roadblocks coming up, shall we say. How can folks be confident that when you have so many controversial and tough things coming up, whether it be tax reform, whether it be government shutdown, whether it be Obamacare that failed in terms of repealing and replacing Obamacare, how can they be confident something as controversial, especially for Democrats, is changing the catch and release law that you just described? How can they be confident that's going to pass?
Well, first of all, I think the best way to accomplish that is to enforce the law to the fullest extent possible right now, at the same time that the Congress works on additional laws that the administration needs. By doing that, the American people are going to see that our laws are being enforced, our border is being made secure, the interior of the country is being made safer, and as they see that and they see the need for additional changes, I think they'll demand it.
Well, that was a pretty clear and concise answer to that question. I'll give you that. Looking forward, you've got changing catch and release. We know that the 2 teens who were accused in the Rockville case, I believe, are from El Salvador, so that conceivably would have meant that they had been shipped back rather than allowed to come, as you pointed, into the center of the country. What's next? We know that the Attorney General is changing things as it relates to illegal immigrants who are in federal prisons. What's next on your agenda going forward?
Well, certainly we have to get sanctuary cities cooperating, so the Congress will be taking a very proactive step to cut off funds to communities that refuse to cooperate with federal government agents in enforcing our laws. You know, we're a nation of immigrants. There's not an American watching your program right now who can't go back a few generations or several generations and find someone in their family who came to the United States for the opportunity here. But we're also a nation of laws, and people expect that our laws will be enforced, because if they're not, it breeds lack of respect for a civilized society and the kind of problem. We now have 300,000 convicted criminal aliens on our streets in this country that the Obama administration did a very poor job trying to round up and deport from the country. We certainly can do a better job of that, and Secretary Kelly is already hard at work on it, but they need additional tools to be able to do it. We'll provide them.
Got to interrupt you for some breaking news. We'll have you back as these bills work their way through your committee. Thank you, sir.